Hey Audie, welcome. Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube. Hello.
I feel very uncomfortable right now.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to
Listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never.
I'm gonna make another video. Before I can start, I need you to look at this big bitch on my table because she's gonna move, but we need to talk about her now. Today, I'm gonna show you guys how to put plants that came in a nursery pot into glass like this, using our substrate mix that my roommate and I kind of put together to make this. Like, it decreases the amount of time you have to water, it holds moisture in the soil better, and it looks prettier. All our plants are gonna be in glass eventually, and I've waited to put some in there so you all can see how we do it. Make this video just for you, so I hope you enjoy. Before we get into the actual contents of this video and how we're gonna get these set up in here, I've got one more plant kind of off camera there that I'm gonna throw in the other one. If you watched my last video, which is what we're also gonna talk about, these are from the tulips that have finally died. We took the bulb out. I'm not gonna try and keep the bulbs like people do with tulips and let them dry and whatever, if I put something in a closet and you want me to remember that it's there in a month, it's not gonna happen. It's gonna die. I cannot remember to... I would forget to wipe my own ass if the toilet paper was not right beside the toilet, if that makes sense. Terrible analogy. I wipe my butt. Why are we talking about that? Anyways. So, something I wanted to talk about before we dig into the actual, content of this video is my last YouTube video got 200 views, and that's very different than, for example, a TikTok I posted yesterday that's almost at 500,000 views, right? And 100,000 likes. It's very different worlds to be on TikTok and then to come here and, again, create a more intimate, quiet, long setting, But I love it. Let me tell you, I'll go through the comments of the last video more as this one uploads, and I'm doing my YouTube time today, but overwhelming love and positivity, which is, I knew I would get. Anyways, while I haven't been tormented or bullied on TikTok by any means, it still is really nice to see actual nice comments from people that, I don't know, I feel like it's more intentional and personal if you come here and watch a video like this versus if, oh my gosh, I could. Gretel, are you listening? Anyways, it just feels more personal because you have to go outside of the app and you have to get set up to watch a video like this. Whereas on TikTok, I'm just a part of a wave of information and videos coming at you, and I feel haha, like and scroll. There's no remembrance or relationship there, but I feel on YouTube there's one that you can actually build, and that's what I want to thank you for, because I've cried probably every other day or once a day at all the comments and people sharing their video, my video on Instagram, and then I get to see the DM part of what they said. Yeah, it all makes me cry and I don't know how to respond to it, so thanks. To get into the actual content of the video and the content of the substrate that's going to go in here, we got this. I said this last time in my videos. I'm trying to credit her because she inspired me to do this, and she kind of showed me what the different substrates you can have in plants were. She doesn't know that she did it, but she did it on TikTok. Her name was Trailing Leaf. She's changed it since, and I can't find her. But she's inspired how we got the substrate into these glass containers, and where eventually my whole apartment will be that theme. But for things like this, it's harder to find. This was a crazy find to find glass this big, but to find 4 of the same matching size, obviously some of the plants will take longer. But these, I can get them in, and I'll show you kind of what we do. So 99% of what I'm gonna show you comes from my local like nursery, plant place, whatever. There's just a couple things you have to get on Amazon. Maybe your nurseries will have them, or maybe there's other stores that will. God, I can't stop doing this. I just want to. Maybe there will be like better supplies or supply stores near you, but where I'm at in San Diego, I've not been able to find, for example, bags of activated charcoal, which is, it's not a layer in the substrate, but it's something you mix into the layers. And from what I was told, this helps like keep water from getting that nasty like grossness about it when it sits in like the reservoir. Because what we're going to do is we're going to have a reservoir of water is eventually what this is going to provide for the plant, is a reservoir of water that they can kind of tap into whenever they want at the very bottom, and then all of the soft substrate for the root to actually, you know, take place into. Yay! Anyways, activated charcoal is something that you'll need. You'll also need, you will need coconut couture. You will need coconut camp couture. You'll need this. You'll need these big blocks of cacao. I don't know, me and my roommate called them cacao bricks. I don't think that's actually what you're supposed to call them, but you like cut it up. The last ones we've been getting have been 4 separate bricks in one package, and as I look at this, I'm just now realizing this is a single giant brick that I'm gonna try and fit into this, but that's gonna be a disaster you'll enjoy later. So you have that big block of cacao brick, or coconut couture. Then you have Spanish moss, okay? If you're like me and Gretel, you'll keep all of your supplies in a tub that's not actually waterproof outside, thinking it's waterproof, and it will get rained on, and it will smell. It will smell bad. Next, pumice, perlite. You could also do vermiculite instead of pumice. I think vermiculite is the one that's also like kind of a rocky, gravelly. Again, this will make a layer, but this is similar to the charcoal where we're gonna mix it into like the cacao brick and other layers, just to kind of like keep the substrate from getting like
Open the door.
This compact. You want to leave some air and space or whatever. I don't know. It fucking works. Okay, and we're gonna do it. The bottom layer of it, what you'll need, ideally rocks, like gravelly stuff, whatever. But we've chosen to use these like decorative rocks because we think the red rocks or the white rocks make like a really cool, like rich color at the bottom, in contrast to the algae that's gonna grow on them, or to the dirt that's gonna grow. Like here, you can kind of really see the algae because this plant's dying. So he's gonna have a lot more algae because like water sits there for longer until we replace him. But little bits of algae will grow throughout, and we think that looks cooler on white and red rocks than, you know, like if you just did like the gray all the way throughout, or the dirt all the way throughout. So yeah, the lava rocks, the pumice, perlite, vermiculite if you need, Spanish moss, cacao brick, water, the plant, and a glass container. It sounds like a lot, but these are really, really big bags that go a long way. And we've had to restock on supplies like twice, and we have almost 100 plants. So do with that what you will. Sweating like a motherfucker. So the first thing you're gonna want to do, like as you get all the supplies set up, that's probably gonna be the messiest, the dirtiest, and the longest, is creating like your soil bank is what we call it. So if we're doing a bunch of plants at once, which is what we do, we don't, it would make more sense to just do it like as they come in, but we let them build up, and then we'll do like 10 glass containers at once. And what we found is like most helpful for that is to get this going first, break it apart, get it wet. It's really easy. I'm not gonna show you that part on camera. It's gonna be too stressful to try and get the angle right and not get it wet and get this broken apart. But you literally get this coconut brick wet, and you'll see that it like falls apart and becomes the muddy stuff, and you just keep it in a bucket. Because when it's in that bucket, I'll show you this part, but we're gonna mix in other things to make it like the potted soil mix they come in, but instead it's gonna be this as the main like nutrient rich part of it, and then you're gonna add all these other stuff and the fertilizer. And yeah, off camera, I took my cacao brick, I broke it apart, I got it wet, got it in my bucket. Now, when you start building, let me dump these out, that water's fucking nasty. Okay, when you start building your glass containers, I kind of mix into the soil as I use it in my glass, that way It's just like done as I go along, if that makes any sense. So if you watch a material video or the material part, you have your materials, you've gotten your cacao brick wet. Those are the only two things we've done so far. And then it kind of goes really fast. It's gonna be gorgeous and have a great payoff, but it's gonna be pretty quick. So you start with your decorative rock first. This is kind of where the water is gonna sit mostly. Whenever you have your reservoir, it'll obviously want to go to the bottom once it keeps like the moss and the actual brick and stuff wet. It'll travel through and it'll want to set and collect right down here. I'm gonna go with the shape of the glass and probably make this entire bottom area the rocky substrate, okay? But I get paranoid that the water's gonna like, I don't think the water rotting is the right word to use, but I mean like turning gross and molding and giving you that like nasty smell. The way that I prevent that is I mix the activated charcoal into like this too, because to me the charcoal is like the best filtration system outside from like the actual like material in the jar. This charcoal, like I just sprinkle it like that, and then I kind of like shake it to where it gets to the bottom. That way, like, I don't know, in my head it has to go through the charcoal to stay filtered. If it's sitting in the charcoal, it's not gonna mold. I've not had any problems except when a plant dies, like that fern I'm letting die. I've never had a problem with the water going bad when I've done it like this, okay? So you take your decorative rock, your lava rock, it can also be those leca balls. I don't really like those, but anything that's big, porous, and spacious for the bottom is best, because that's where the water's gonna wanna sit. Then I would do a layer of peat moss and then a layer of Spanish moss, but unfortunately, in the rain and everything, most of my moss has gotten pretty bad. I think I'm gonna be able to get this moss, but it's also wet and gross and makes me gag, and I don't know how long I can handle touching it. Yep. Oh, yeah, I'm not a moss fan, not a big moss fan. Anyway, that again. Oh, God. If you're like me and Gretel, you'll keep all of your supplies in a tub that's not actually waterproof outside, thinking it's waterproof. It will get rained on and it will smell. So you've got your Spanish moss, or if you wanted to do another layer of moss, which I don't know. For me, the moss is really for when I have a plant that really, really likes moisture. That's kind of how I change the substrate around. If they're like an elephant earring type thing like this, or like what I have you, which you obviously can't see, set up on behind you like the butterfly plant, they really, really like wet soil, especially when they're like longer roots can go down and soak up that water whenever they want. So I'll put like a bigger layer of moss. But for something like this, my philodendron pink princess, she doesn't necessarily need all the moisture in the world, right? She's going to be pretty regular. I've let her dry out, okay, for the sake of this video. But she doesn't necessarily need all the moisture in the world, so I'm not going to really worry about a super big moss layer. I don't know why I'm doing this to her roots right now. I'm skipping 6 steps, but I looked at it and I had to touch it, and that's where we're at. Yum. Okay, so next layer. After I get the moss, in my head, I'm like, oh, lots of water's going to want the moss. Sprinkle some charcoal. I'm like sitting in the sun for this. So, perlite. I would get that. Don't breathe this stuff in. Don't breathe any of this stuff in, is what I've also learned from all the websites and all the videos. It's like, it's not good to breathe this in. But this is just trying to create like more airy soil. Like they don't need, because the cacao brick, when it dries out, especially if you're not on top of watering it when it does dry, which will be a lot longer than just regular soil and drainage. Like these no drain pots are gonna work out for you, okay? When you put this perlite and when you put the pumice and you kind of give some like space, it leaves more room and makes it easier for the roots to grow, I think. I don't actually know. I had just watched videos and read and did things and then have done it and replicated it and it's worked, so I'm sharing my knowledge with you like a wizard. Also mixed into that soil, just because I do not fuck around with moldy, nasty water, I will mix in charcoal as well. I don't know if activated charcoal is as much of a saving grace as I think it is, but in my head, it's keeping everything healthy and fine. So we'll mix that really quick because this, the perlite, the cacao brick, the charcoal, you could also mix like bark, especially if it's like something like really likes airy, gappy soil. You can mix in the bark, the actual pumice into there. But I'm gonna do a layer of pumice. In my head, I'm like recreating what the soil outside might look like. You know, there's going to be a lot of rock layers the further you go down. There's going to be soft soil on the top, and I just want to create like, I don't know, like a natural environment for the roots. Aside from the fact that you can see all the way to the roots, which you wouldn't be able to do outside. I'm literally sweating. I'm wittily sweating in this sun right now, but I'm so dedicated to this video for you guys. So pumice, this gravelly stuff. I guess you could get rocks from your backyard or the creek if you really wanted to DIY it. You don't have to. You can also just take advantage of capitalism and the wonderful supply chains that we have giving us things and just go get some rocks from a nursery, babe. With your luck, you would take like the one rock from a creek that needed to be a part of their delicate ecosystem in order to uphold all the life in that little area, and you taking that rock would shut it down. Moving on, you've got your, forget about that one, but you got your charcoal sprinkled on top there just in case. I probably overdo it with the charcoal, but this one bag has lasted me through all my plants, so you can kind of be more willing or more like filling with it. Sweat just dripped. Did you see that? I'm literally working for you guys. This is crazy. Okay, so I get it filled up just a little bit like this. Make your mess on the kitchen table, okay? It will clean up, all right? I kind of measure because I am much more scared than my roommate is of messing with roots. Like, to me, I don't even want to break this apart. So I just see where it sits in kind of comfortably, and I want to leave a gap about that big from the edge of the glass to where I'm doing the soil. Only because when you water it, it's really annoying when it like flips up and moves around and floods over the side. So if you leave like a little gap, then you can kind of fill it and flood it and let it sink down. But again, the watering for these plants, the watering time is so crazy different. Like, I'm gonna water this pink princess now, and I'm genuinely not gonna water it again for a couple weeks because the soil will stay so wet. It'll hold that water reservoir, and she'll be happy and healthy. All my other philodendrons, they're probably the ones that respond the best to this kind of substrate mix. Don't know why. I'm just gonna bury that leaf, it's okay. She's a strong plant. I just knocked her off my windowsill. Look at that sweat. Oh my gosh. I need a paycheck from this. I'm working so hard. She fell from my windowsill and broke and spilt dirt everywhere, so that's why I kind of like kick-started this video. Anyways, man, we've got that pink princess done. We've got the soil in there. Now we're gonna take these. Again, I should probably break these up and really separate the soil more and get rid of it. But like that crackling and that like, oh gosh, probably way too dry on the soil. But I knew that I didn't want to flood it because I knew I was about to water it. I don't know. See, to me, I'm like, okay, scary. I don't want to break that apart, obviously. She wants to keep it, so I'm just going to pile the dirt in. Pile the dirt in. Get her in. And then fill in the gaps. So even though she still has some of that nursery dirt, it's on the inside, and I'm like covering it with my mixture. So to me, it's my plant, and I've done it right, and no one will be able to tell. And then the like roots stay intact, and my anxiety lessens, and it looks okay. So like I was saying earlier, once you get it going, and once you get like the things mixed up, it takes 5 seconds to get it in here. And you push down the soil, and boom! Glass containers, no drain, and in a healthy substrate that will keep them alive. I'm fearful I didn't explain that the best, but again, it's like the bottom layer here of all the glass jars are just going to be some form of big rock reservoir. I've got the activated charcoal, the lava rocks, the decorative rocks. You could use those leca balls, whatever's like big and will hold the water to create a reservoir. Then above it, some more charcoal. I've got the Spanish moss, which again, you could do peat moss if you wanted more like moisture kind of locked in and held right there for the roots. Then it just goes directly into charcoal and that cacao brick, the pumice, and the charcoal mix that you made from the brick that you wet. Then it goes in here. I'll water it until all of this is wet, and then there's about this much of a reservoir at the bottom. Set it where the lighting needs are met, and it's good to go. You'll have kind of a mess. This will take me like 10 minutes to clean up, but really it's not that much, and it's pretty nice. Please ignore how dirty my kitchen is, but I'm literally like I was saying, like putting water in to the tippy top here and letting it like flood, and then it like bubbles and goes down, and then it'll build a reservoir at the bottom here as I watch it, and that'll be like where I need to keep the water, if that makes sense. So this is kind of a quicker video, especially when the last video I just released was like 30 minutes long. But I wanted to show you how I put them in glass containers because I said that's what I would do, and I was just doing chores around the house and I was gonna do it anyway, so I wanted to make a video. But again, I do it as a theme, so like all of my pots end up glass eventually. So that's kind of like, and this was gonna be one, but it kind of matches better with the cutlery. Anyways, I like the glass containers. The no drain works for me because it lets me kind of like get away with not watering as much, because I will forget to water if it does not literally show me that it needs to be watered. Like white Nerf plants that wilt until they need water, and then they come back up when you give it to them, whatever. Those are the best plants for me because they literally tell me I need water. But if it's just in a nursery pot that I can't see the edges of and I have to touch the soil, I'm gonna forget. I'm just not gonna stick to a schedule and it doesn't work for me. So that's kind of why for my ADHD brain it works and why I do that. If it doesn't work for you, don't fucking hate. Just move on with your life. But I think it looks really good. Like, I think it matches very nicely to whatever kind of theme you want to do. If it's more maximalist or minimalist, if it's more of like a serious grunge, or if you're doing like decorative artsy stuff. I need to wash my hands better. I think the glass bottoms match. So thanks again for coming. I have so many videos I want to do. I love this space so much. It's so different than TikTok, and I truly do enjoy when you guys watch my videos and comment things. But I also don't know how to respond to kindness. I just cry. So I hope you have a great week, and I hope that I can make another good video. Let me know what you feel, what other videos you want to see, how I can improve, because Lord knows I need it.